Hello, welcome back to Whispers in the Woods, your weekly fix for all things horror. My name's Emily.
I'm Devin.
And I'm Tom. And you know what, guys? Today is going to be my best episode yet because I have home field advantage.
Yeah.
We're recording at my apartment instead of Emily's this time. I'm so grounded.
Oh, perfect.
How about we begin with some horror news for this week then?
Sounds good.
Guys, there was a trailer for Scary Movie 6.
There is.
Which is, oddly much anticipated, I feel. Mm-hmm. It's been, so long since the last one. Spoof genre died.
Yeah, 100%.
Now they've come out with this, and there's actual hype for it. You know?
Yeah.
I think there was a pretty big fan base for the original Scary Movies.
I definitely loved the first one when I was 13.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think everyone did.
I didn't.
If you watched it when you were
I didn't like it. No.
Not everybody's cup of tea, for sure.
No.
Yeah. And maybe this trailer also wasn't your cup of tea, Dev.
No, it wasn't.
I understand, yeah.
I'll talk about what I did like.
Okay.
What I did like was seeing the modern movies that they are spoofing.
Mm-hmm.
That's always fun to see what movies will be parodied and how they make them all one narrative. I will give Scary Movie that is a clever thing to do, to marry a bunch of different films. And I did like the subway, beginning part of the subway scene, and you have Megan, and then they're doing a spoof on the whole, what's it called? Emily and I have spoke about this. Songs getting slowed down for horror movies.
Yes.
Guess who's back?
Oh, true.
Back again. And then they reveal Ghostface. I liked it up until the next part.
That's fair. Yeah, there was, as there always is in the Scary Movies, some pretty questionable jokes that are taking it a bit too far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, I was very excited to see which horror films they were gonna pick to parody. Mm-hmm. So that part for me looked really fun. I think I probably still want to watch it, probably on streaming and not in the theaters, but yeah, it looks pretty bad.
I think this one's gonna do numbers, though. I feel like it's actually gonna make a lot of money.
Me too, because it's been 20 years or something.
And it has that nostalgic feeling.
Yeah. Well, they're bringing back Dewey. They're bringing back their parody of Gale Weathers.
And Anna Faris.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Regina.
And they have the Waynes. Everybody's there.
Exactly.
Back.
So it's kind of odd that it's going to be spoofing these newer Scream movies that have brought back all the old cast and played with your nostalgia.
It's perfect.
While also doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's so clever. I will say, that is clever of them. It's it's a parody legacy.
Mm-hmm.
That is hilarious in itself.
Unlike what you were saying, Emily, about the offensive jokes, in my opinion, a joke needs to justify its existence if it's going to be offensive.
Yeah.
It has to be really funny. Either, equally funny to its level of offensiveness, or funnier.
Yeah.
And I can't say that it did in this trailer.
Yeah, I agree. If it's not funny and it's offensive, it's just awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
There was another exciting trailer that came out recently, and it's for Kane Parsons' Backrooms.
Yeah.
Released by A24.
Yes.
Exciting.
This trailer looks really cool.
Yeah.
I also have a fun fact about it. It is almost 100% made in Blender, except for the final shot.
Wow.
And then when you get to the lowest level of the Backrooms, that is a physical set that they built on a soundstage. It's apparently crazy big, which actually gets me incredibly excited.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
And I wonder if it was Kane Parsons who made these other shots in Blender. I think that's where he started with this whole Backroom series, just making them himself on 3D modeling software. And now he's making an A24 movie at age 20.
Oh my god.
I'm
jealous.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's not a twinge of jealousy there, I mean, you're just not being honest with yourself, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I am very excited for this film.
Excited.
I'm excited to see what they do with the creatures in this, like, feature-length movie. Because in, like, the smaller backroom shorts, they have some pretty cool creatures in that. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if they're gonna, like, try and elevate them, if they're gonna keep them the same.
Yeah, I wonder too.
It'll be really, really cool. And I know one of my little cousins is very excited for it.
Sweet.
And he's like, I know everything about the back rooms. And he's like, do you know this creature? Can you even say you're a fan of the backroom stuff? And I'm like, okay,
I guess not.
You know a lot more than I do.
So this could be another one of those, like, Minecraft movie or Five Nights at Freddy's movies where you get, like, the Gen Alpha kids who know it from the internet just, like, storming the theater. Because it's something they recognize online.
I think this film's going to make a lot of money.
I feel
Me
so,
too.
yeah.
I'm excited to watch it. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll have to go to a matinee to avoid a bunch of...
Oh, a bunch of kids yelling chicken jockey, throwing popcorn.
Fireworks and explosives. Yes. Yeah, this one's high art.
Yeah.
I feel like every year now, like, horror is getting bigger and bigger.
Totally.
Which is very exciting.
So I also have another piece of news, which unfortunately is very sad. So actor Bruce Campbell, known for the Evil Dead franchise, has recently been diagnosed with a type of cancer that he isn't disclosing. But he has a couple of quotes, says that his cancer is treatable but not curable. He's going to be taking gaps from going to cons and doing any other kind of work over the summer to hopefully recover enough to promote his new movie, which is called Ernie and Emma, in the fall. I think it's his directorial debut, actually.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's excited to go out and promote this film. And he says, "Fear not, I am a tough old son of a bitch, and I have great support, so I expect to be around a while."
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Nice. That's positive.
Yeah, that's positive.
Yeah, it seems like he's keeping a positive attitude about it, and I just wish him well. Yes. He is one of my very favorite actors of all time, and this news was bad.
Yeah.
Bad thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. So also, I'm a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah.
I'm a fake fan. I forgot what the show was called for a second.
I like Vampire Buffy girl.
I thought it was for a second Buffy the Vampire Hunter.
Wow.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah, that's like alternate universe. Buffy
she has brown hair.
I watched that show throughout like all of middle school and high school. Still love it. Still have a huge soft spot for it. And like every show out there right now, it's getting a revival, continuation.
Oh no.
Same universe. Sarah Michelle Gellar is back, and she's going to be training the new Slayer. So a new 16-year-old girl. Her name's going to be Nova. She's played by Ryan Kiera Armstrong. Also, this first...
I don't know who that is.
Me neither. We'll find out.
Yeah, we will.
I'm skeptical.
Yeah.
Here's something that might make you less skeptical. The first episode is directed by Chloe Zhao. Who directed Hamnet, which is doing Oscars. Like, when I read this, I could barely believe it because
that's
I'm like...
wild.
She's doing it.
Okay.
It seems like beneath her, I would say, honestly.
But you said a couple weeks ago, TV or movie, and movie TV now.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what you said.
Yeah,
yes.
it's a little bit of that for sure.
Who knows if she can, make it more cinematic or lend, like this big filmmaker eye that she has to it. Maybe it could actually be good.
I hope it's Monster of the Week style still.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So the show is also going to be called Buffy the Vampire Slayer, New Sunnydale. I don't like that title.
No, it's a bad title. Just call it
long.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It doesn't really, grab you, does it?
No.
It's not original either.
No.
It's not like...
Yeah, it's just New Sunnydale.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, slay the day away.
There you go. But, and it would also be a musical, obviously.
It would be a musical, of course.
Straight off the dome.
Yes.
This is why we should all hire Devin to name our things.
Thank you.
That's it. That is all my horror news, actually. Do either of you have anything?
Nothing new to report.
Maybe because we recorded 6 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I feel like we yapped a good amount about Scary Movie 6, enough to call it a section.
Yay.
Yay.
I said that with a weird
Section.
It was like my South African accent.
Yeah, you went... I was like, we're getting people geared up for the Canadian accent of it all, but you went full
Who knows what the Canadian accent is, too.
Blood Diamond.
Yeah, so Canadians. That's what we are and what we're talking about in a way.
I think we all
today.
sound pretty Canadian.
We do.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can all slip out in a bit.
I know. It's also not only that. I'm like, yeah, we just sound as is. And then when I was editing one of the episodes, I'm like, oh my gosh, and compared to Dead Meat, I'm like, we're so Canadian sounding. It's like very sing-songy, lots of uptick.
That I have noticed when editing this, and my sentences end with, and then this?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then we do this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My voice says that.
We all do it. It's a Canadian thing, and that's fine.
fine.
That's just the accent. That's the
Those
dialect.
are corks.
Our corks.
Corks.
Love it.
Aren't we all made of corks or something like that?
We are not made of
Are
cork.
any of you physicians?
We are not
Physicists? Can anyone scan my brain and tell me why I can't think of the right words? Oh, Lord. Oh, true. Does this mean we're starting with scanners?
We're starting
okay.
with scanners.
Wait. What's the theme?
What's the theme?
Yeah.
I was trying to do a sweet segue into what our theme is, and then I think we got way off track. We're doing Canadian horror. Oh my god. Good lord. Okay.
Part 1.
Sure. I
Because
think
we will
that
do more.
For this week, I surprisingly had so many picks for this theme.
Oh.
Like, I had like 10 different movies that I wanted to talk about. I have so many honorable mentions.
Yes.
But I think I picked my favorite one.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So actually, why did we choose this theme?
Canadian movies need more love.
Yeah, that's
they
fair.
really do. And a lot of movies are filmed in Canada, but they're not based in Canada.
Yeah, we film the world's movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of service production for American movies. And it's like Vancouver is 12,000 other cities and rarely ever Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly.
So we wanted to highlight movies that are made in Canada by our beautiful little tax-paying dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And these are pretty good movies.
Oh, yeah. Made
Yeah.
in Canada, made with Canadian casting crews.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the theme that we've chosen for this week.
Yes.
And we've taken our picks, and mine is Scanners. 1981's Scanners,
Good.
directed by David Cronenberg. Is this the most famous Canadian horror movie?
Oh,
Do you
that's
think?
a good question. The Fly.
Yeah.
Ginger snaps.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I feel like The Fly Fly and Scanners are probably on par. They're both
However,
Cronenberg.
The Fly doesn't quite count as Canadian horror. I would have chosen it if
okay.
it did, but it's categorized as a Canadian-American co-production.
No, okay, fair.
And I think all of our films are straight Canadian
yes,
productions, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But just like that image of that guy's head exploding
So good.
I know about that.
is everywhere. Okay, so Scanners. Scanners was shot in Montreal in 1979. It was shot for a budget of $4 million, or roughly equivalent to $16 million in today's dollars.
That's a pretty good
Wow.
budget.
It's a good budget. One thing that this movie did is it actually put Canadian movies on the map in a way that they weren't previously, because even though this movie is kind of categorized as a cult movie, it's not. It did well. It actually did really well. It got $14.2 million across the U.S. and Canada.
Wow.
That's not adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
So that showed that like Canada can produce movies that are good and also successful throughout North America. And that's worth celebrating, I guess. So yeah, this was done by David Cronenberg, one of our most famous directors, director of The Fly. And I will give you guys a quick synopsis as well. This is a world where telepaths are kind of spread across the country. There's not a huge amount of them. They reference maybe like 230 something. But these people can read minds. Some of them have the ability for pyrokinesis as well. And there's a government facility called ConSec, or at least it's a company, maybe it's independent, that is doing experiments and trying to get them involved in espionage and defense. So one of these scanners, his name is Cameron Vale, and he starts out the movie as a homeless man who has this ability but doesn't really understand it. And one thing I really love about this character is that they establish that he has never really been able to garner a personality because he's only ever had people's voices in his head that he can't turn off. So he's never been able to give himself a sense of identity because he's constantly sharing everybody else's identity.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting concept, and I think that is still so relevant today.
For real. Yeah, this movie has a lot of really great concepts. So he is recruited, he's kind of like kidnapped.
Yeah.
In the beginning. Yeah, by this company. And he is drawn into this ongoing battle between Consec and Michael Ironside's character, whose name is Daryl Revick. And Daryl Revick is also a scanner, and he is forming like an underground society of scanners, and they're going to eventually take over. So Cameron is now drafted into a war, basically, and they want him to make contact with Revick, become part of his organization, and take him down from the inside. It's a really cool premise. Yeah. I was into that as a premise. I would say, unfortunately, I don't think it quite lives up to that awesome premise. How did you feel, Dev?
I don't know. I really liked the telepathy.
The way it's done, they do it with like a sound effect. It's kind of like
exactly, and how much body acting it is. Yeah, it's really like let these actors act. And I think that it was really clever with like the mystery when the guy is presenting his scanning abilities. And then the one guy's like, fine, I'll volunteer. Oh,
Michael Ironside's character, who's in there as a plant. Yeah, it was he planted himself in there.
And I really did like it. And then when he's just in the vehicle, controlling the other people he can't even see.
Just going back to that scene, though, with Michael Ironside in the presentation.
Presentation.
So we have this guy from Consec who is establishing that these scanners exist, and he himself is one. And he asks for a member from the audience to come sit with him. He's going to read their mind. And then Michael Ironside. This is him so young, he has so much hair.
So much.
I'm like, what's going on here? I don't recognize you. But yeah, once this guy gets him up on the stage, it looks like he's reading Michael Ironside's mind. But then Michael Ironside starts to read his mind. And then he makes that dude's head explode.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Just...
And what's the audience's reaction?
The audience, like, flips, runs out of there. It wasn't what anybody was expecting.
No.
And it wasn't even what I was expecting, because I thought that was, like, the climactic moment in the film.
How far into the movie is this?
Must be like
10 minutes?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's at the beginning.
It's still in the beginning. That's when you're like establishing your bad guy.
I have a question for you guys, since I haven't fully watched the movie. Do you feel like right from the beginning of the film, you feel like the environment is like, oh, this is Canadian, or this is in Montreal?
Yes, because the food courts, the signs are bilingual.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't clock that.
Yeah.
One thing that is uniquely Canadian about it is the main character, Cameron Vale, he has a Canadian accent. It doesn't come out a lot. Usually when he says out, it comes out.
But it is based in Canada.
It's never expressly stated, so I don't know.
I'm going with yes then.
Out and about.
Yes.
Out and about.
Just the fact that he is, he has a Canadian accent. I feel like it's probably meant to be Canada.
And then with the French, the food court.
Yeah. One thing that I really enjoy about this movie is all of the pyrotechnics, the stunt work. They do so many different explosions. They do many different car crashes and car explosions as well. You were referencing a moment when Michael Ironside's character, he is in a car with these agents from that facility, and he gets two of them to crash their car, and the car explodes the second it hits a barrier. And that's fun to see in a Canadian film.
Yeah, that was really, really cool.
A lot of explosions.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and I guess I would be jumping way ahead. That ending.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Crazy.
So there are also like great practical effects in this movie, which we can get to. There's later on in the film, after Cameron has like linked up with another group of these scanners, they're at one point escaping from Michael Ironside's character's goons, and they're in a bus, and there's this fun like bus chase scene when another car pulls up and just shoots at the bus. they all get down on the ground, but the driver's shot, and then it drives into this record store and flips. And that's like just pretty cool to see in Canadian film.
Because
like,
the
Did
budget.
they flip an actual bus?
Oh yeah,
It's 81.
It's not a huge bus.
Cool.
It says that it's a school bus, but like not any school bus that I've seen. One aspect of this movie that I really, really liked was Patrick McGoohan as Dr. Paul Ruth. This is the guy who's like spearheading this program to weaponize the scanners. And he has this really interesting energy. It was just kind of like a guy who's been kind of beaten down, I feel, still trying to maintain control of these scanners. And the way he talks about them, too, is interesting. Like, he'll say that he has, like, a way with them. He'll say that he admires them and stuff like that. But then he'll also call them creatures in the next scene as well.
The best way to describe him when I was watching it with my dad, I'm like, oh my god, he's Papa from Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He's totally a Dr. Brenner type as well.
The scanners are all the children, 11, all of them.
Yeah, and there's like a thing that's revealed later on about his character that kind of recontextualizes everything in this movie. Because he gives the scanners something called ephemerol. It's a drug that will like shut off their powers. That's one thing that's introduced into the movie's lore. And that comes back in the end with the reveal that this guy is kind of more than he seems.
Yeah.
Sounds like whoever wrote the film... Did David Cronenberg write the film?
Yeah, he wrote and directed it.
Yeah, so it sounds like he wrote this character pretty in-depth.
Yeah. He's a really interesting character.
Very complex.
And that guy is a really great performer as well. Like, I think it was one of the most competent performances. Yeah, at a certain point, so Cameron, I think I mentioned that he links up with a group of other telepaths, and they're led by Kim Obrist is her name. And she honestly isn't the best written character, I feel. How did you feel about that, Dev?
She was fine. Present, very much a female character written in 1979.
Yeah.
Like, she's there.
Yeah. Like, I like that she had this group as well, but she pretty quickly loses that group because Michael Ironside's character is just, like, bringing in... I don't know if they're scanners or people that he's, like, manipulating, but he kind of turns them into assassins. They come in, they try to shoot you. So there's this interesting scene where she's sat down with all of these scanners, and then two of these goons come in and just start shooting them in the head. And then she has pyrokinesis, so she lights those two goons on fire. And
That's very cool.
It's pretty cool. It's a good fire stunt. But then she mentions, now I know what it feels like to die. Because when they got shot, everybody's minds were linked.
So you can feel other people's feelings as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, and since their minds were linked, she can hear their last thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. They talk a lot about how it's like connecting a nervous system to another nervous system, even though you're separated in space. Yeah. So then she's along for the ride when they're, in consec and all. At one point, even Cameron links himself to a computer.
Oh, wow.
Like, he's able to access this computer and kind of like break down this conspiracy that's been going on, finds out about like the production of that drug, ephemerol, that's being produced by a subsidiary of this company, ComSec. So he's like confused, why is this happening? And big spoiler alert, you find out that this doctor invented this drug in the 40s, I think, way back when. Gave it to pregnant women as like a tranquilizer, but it turned their babies psychic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so all of the scanners are kind of his children. Especially Cameron, who is literally his son.
Wow.
Yeah. And this Michael Ironside character is his brother. So it's kind of like a father versus son sort of story in the end. But also, the doctor just left Cameron to be homeless and confused and
crazy.
Not knowing himself, and only brought him in and gave him a purpose when he needed him. So he's a real complex character in that way. That was cool. Michael Ironside's character is like trying to appeal to Cameron to be like, let's join forces, let's rule, because also he is like, what's he doing? His master plan is to supply that drug to like the next generation of pregnant women, so that there's a whole slew of scanners that then he can control. turn into his own personal army. Again, that's just such like a cool and grand idea that like if this movie was like a Paul Verhoeven movie in the 80s, you know, like a Total Recall, I feel like it would have been huge, a blockbuster, and they could have really explored these concepts, but they couldn't. They could really only just hint at them. And what this movie culminates in is these two guys in an office standing a few feet apart from each other and having a psychic battle.
So you think the budget held the movie back?
I mean, like, it's hard to say because it is what it is, right? It's just like, I think I have this image in my head of what this movie could have been if they gave it many more millions of dollars, which they obviously can't because it's Canadian film. It's just like, they didn't have the money, you know, to take these concepts to 11.
Story with great concepts, and you know, I think for what it's worth, it sounds like still great effects.
Oh yeah, because the ending.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of my favorite parts of the movie. It's like both my favorite part and also not because I have in my head, oh, this could be grander, but I still appreciate what's happening on screen. When they have this psychic battle, there's like these vein effects that are happening. Their veins are like pulsing and actually...
It was so gross.
Literally bursting, too.
It was so gross.
There's like just fountains of
David
blood.
David Cronenberg can't help himself.
Cool.
Coming out of their head. And Michael Ironside just like decimates him. Like he makes parts of his face peel away.
Eyeballs.
And then, his eyeballs just like gone. And lights him on fire, too, I think. Yeah. And then Kim comes in and is like, oh no, he's dead. But then in the corner is Michael Ironside. He starts speaking in Cameron's voice, and he's like, it's fine, I'm in here now.
Yeah, so he blasted himself, because at one point, Michael's eyes are all white. He's going, "Ah!" Which is
Great
actually
image.
one of the movie posters.
So cool looking.
Yeah.
They swap bodies, and now he's in his body.
Yeah.
And that's just where the movie ends.
And his eyes do look a little different. Like,
they do. I think that they're not the same color anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like, that's cool. Again, like, I just can't help feeling like it could have been more.
Oh,
you know?
no, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like Canadian films specifically are so great at having a small budget, but doing great things with that budget, getting creative, and, you know, instead of spending all this money and making it easy, just, you know, throwing money at it, they have to, like, no, they don't have the budget. They have to get creative and think of other ways to do certain effects or scenes or whatever it is.
Yeah, and we'll see that in both of your picks.
Yeah.
Especially Pontypool, I feel, is an amazingly well done low budget movie where most things are just talked about.
Yeah.
But you get to feel it because of the sound design.
Exactly.
You know? It's just that I didn't get that payoff, that emotional payoff of this like next generation of scanners being born or this big underground movement when they have no, you never see a headquarters. There's no like, you know, I am Paul, Duke of Arrakis kind of speech to all of his legions of followers. Like, it's just he's got some dudes in jackets with guns coming at you, you know?
Hey, Canada's population was really small
really
in the
small.
80s.
I know. Like, I know, I'm bitching and moaning a little bit too much. It's just, this is the way that the movie left me feeling, especially when it's just Kim wakes up and walks into the room and goes, there's the end of the battle. That's also the end of the movie. And I'm like, okay. I think I actually just have written in my notes. Let me read this. Body swap. All right.
I love the body swap. That caught me off guard. Because also, near the end of the movie, like every movie, or if I watch it at night, I'm a little sleepy lady. And I was going in and out, but like still very much awake, but half awake. And then when the Papa reveal happened, I'll go to my dad in the house like today. I'm like, Dad, he's just like Papa. My dad's like, he's not like your grandpa at all. I'm like, no, Dr. Brenner, 11. And he's like, monologue about how this Stranger Things got lots of inspiration from it. And then at the end, when the veins are coming on the face, I'm like, ha! But you know what I always think is so interesting is it's like, when you look at where the world's at and everything when a horror movie is made, because horror is always commentating on the fears at the time.
Yeah.
And if it was filmed in 1979, and we see a lot of movies with telepathy in the 80s and 50s, 60s, 70s, because we have Children of the Damned, We have Firestarter. We have Carrie. We have all these movies that are about like post-war or during war experimentation on pregnant women. Mm-hmm. And then in the 50s and 60s. Of radiation too. Exactly. In the 50s and 60s, you have like birth control pills being created, as well as the morning sickness pill. And the morning sickness pill, if you aren't aware, was a pill that women would take in the morning to ease their morning sickness. However, it had so many side effects and led to birth abnormalities in people.
Didn't it have some sort of like crazy like metal in it or some sort of...
I can't remember what it was, but it was really bad. So my mom in England had a few kids in her class who had limbs that didn't fully develop and things like that would occur. So it's just so interesting how all these movies about children born with powers after like the wars, people messing with pregnancy like with pills and stuff when you shouldn't be taking pills when you're pregnant, but they did not know that at the time, and now that's how we know this. So
Dr. Roth even says, yeah, this could have been radiation that caused you scanners. We have no clue. Bloody liar.
Exactly.
He knows it was him. Like, I think he was by far the most interesting character.
I loved it. I love that movie. Recommend to everybody watch Scanners.
Yeah, I think David Cronenberg in particular is so good at writing his scripts and bringing in like social commentary and just talking about the issues of whatever time it is.
So one last thing that I liked about Sinners is the credits.
Scanners.
Yeah, right. So you're right. Yeah. One last thing that I liked about Scanners is the end credits are the computer screen that they interact with in the film, and I'm just like, that's cute. It's a nice way to do it. I don't know if you watched all the way to the end. Yeah, and then it just goes.
Yeah, I
closes
really like
down
that.
to the computer. So yeah, just like a nice little, that's fun.
Classic black and green computer
exactly.
too.
There's
great.
so much slow ass typing on that computer though. Again, for this being like my pick, I guess it probably seems like I don't like it that much.
It does seem.
Yeah. I got nothing to say about that. That is just the truth of it.
It seems like you don't know a lot about Canadian horror.
And that's true, but I have seen both of your picks, and I gotta say, I like Pontypool better than that one.
That's fair.
Why, thank you. Thank you.
Last thing I want to say about David Cronenberg, though, is I think that he had such a big effect on specifically, like, the special effects makeup of his time. And, like, he's just inspired so many other films as far as like the body horror subgenre goes. So I don't think we could have had a Canadian horror episode without mentioning David Cronenberg.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be inappropriate.
It's one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring him up.
Okay, well, I had many picks that I could have chosen, but one that I kept coming back to, and honestly one of my favorite horror movies of all time, is Grave Encounters. It is a found footage film from 2011. It is directed and written by, quote unquote, the Vicious Brothers.
Oh, that's awesome. Is one of them Sid Vicious?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that would be really cool. But no, it's two men by the names of Colin Minihan and Stuart Ortiz. They also did Grave Encounters 2, which I really like. Colin Minihan specifically does a lot of like music videos for Canadian artists.
That's
such
cool.
as Mother, Marianne,
Wow!
Mariana's Trench.
Whoa!
And Carly Rae Jepsen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amongst many other Canadian artists. I didn't know that until I looked into it, but that's really cool.
Huh.
So a very Canadian man making very Canadian art.
Nice.
Yeah.
We love that.
Do you have the budget and box office there?
Yeah, the budget was $120,000.
Wow.
And guess what the
That's
box
small.
office was?
I'm gonna guess, wild guess, 6 million?
5?
So, like, so close. 5.4 million.
Ooh,
wow.
that's yours then. Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, that's
so
amazing.
amazing. Like, so successful
Yeah.
for such a small Canadian film.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a high gross.
Yeah.
It stars Sean Roger as Lance, who is kind of our main ghost show host.
Oh, God, I love this
And
movie.
then we have Ashley Grisco as Sasha. She is I feel like I said this last episode, but the only female in the film.
Yeah, to an extent, it's true.
Yeah, for so many horror
I guess there
movies.
is one other woman.
Exactly,
one
other
woman.
Demon ghost.
Yeah.
There's Merwin Mondesir as TC.
That's a fun name.
Yeah.
Merwin Mondesir.
Wow. Yes.
That's a good one.
And then Juan...
Sounds like you named him. It's that good.
Thank you.
Juan Redinger as Matt. Mm-hmm. And Mackenzie Gray as Houston Gray.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
The film locations are solely in Vancouver and Coquitlam, BC.
Woo!
Yes. And it premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Good for them. Holy moly. Tribeca
cool.
in
It's
New
a hard
York.
one to get into?
It's a great film
it's
festival.
New York.
Yeah.
Great.
It's a great one.
I'll also mention that it has a 6.1 on IMDb.
That checks
for
out.
IMDb and for horror, that's good.
That's amazing.
Honestly,
good.
I
That's
feel like
A+.
that is the perfect rating for a horror movie.
Yeah, for IMDb.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. 6.1, it's like, that means it's good and
We're
watchable.
doing well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll give a brief synopsis for the film. So, for their ghost hunting reality show, a production crew locks themselves inside an abandoned mental hospital that's supposedly haunted. Mm-hmm. And it might prove to be all too true.
Yeah.
So the film opens with an interviewer talking to an executive producer that knew the host of Grave Encounters, Lance Preston. Right away, obviously, we know that this is inspired by Ghost Adventures and Zach Baggins.
Oh god, I love
the king
that
of
show.
ghost hunting shows.
Love ghost hunting shows. Always been a fan of ghost hunting shows.
I'm sure that I've seen like an ad for it on daytime TV.
That's the only time to watch
it. Like as a kid, been like, can't watch this. Too scary. Ghosts are real? No.
Yeah. I love that show.
So the executive producer who's being interviewed goes on to talk about the infamous episode 6 and says it's undoctored footage. And this is where everything goes wrong.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's filmed in the so-called Collingwood Psychiatric Hospital.
Do you know the name of the real hospital?
It's actually Riverview Mental Hospital. I don't know if you guys have ever been
I've been there.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's very, very creepy. Quick sidebar, me and Mateo did a photo shoot there way back when. And I'm standing right in front of the most, like, quote-unquote, haunted part. And let me tell you, when I was standing up there by myself, I felt some energy, for sure. And I'm not just saying that for the episode. Like, I've had this little story that I've told people before.
So it's a very spooky place.
Well, yeah, let me get into, like, a little bit of the history of Riverview. So it was built in 1913. And originally it housed up to over like 100,000 patients at one point. Like it was just way too like overcrowded basically. And it closed in 2012, I believe. So right as actually they were filming.
It was still open?
Yeah, technically parts of it. Obviously they were filming in a building that was abandoned at that point, but there was a small part of the hospital that had some patients.
Crazy.
Wild.
My aunt actually worked there in the 80s.
Oh my god.
Yeah, 80s or 90s, I believe. And she has quite a few stories
I bet,
of things that she saw going on there that were not right.
I believe it.
Yeah. Lots of patients died due to cruel treatments such as shock therapy, hydrotherapy, which is basically just blasting extremely cold or extremely hot water at someone.
Oh, God.
And sometimes you're in a metal bathtub that closes on the top so you can't move and only your head's out.
Using the word therapy loosely, I guess.
Yep.
Yep.
Also, sterilizations gone wrong and were against people's will.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people died from those things. When the hospital closed, many patients ended up on the downtown east side, where they still are. Accommodation down there obviously is cheap. So that's why they would be tempted to go down there. And they would also be preyed upon by drug dealers. Got into drugs. Some fun little history of Riverview.
Yeah.
Great place for a horror movie.
It's horrific. Yes.
So anyways, now the crew is on the, quote-unquote Collingwood Psychiatric Hospital grounds, and they start to interview some people that work there, as well as the property owner, who tells them some creepy backstory of the hospital, as well as some other workers tell their experiences. They do a little tour of the hospital, and there's a lot of things in the building that were just originally there when the hospital
I'm sure they didn't have to do a lot of production design.
No, so that's one thing that's really interesting to note about this film. So there's a lot of, old crusty bathtubs and, wheelchairs and patient beds. At one point, one thing that I think is particularly creepy is they go into a patient's room, and there's all this, red writing all over the walls. Yeah. That's real.
Oh, Lord.
That is real.
Makes you feel a little icky when, the line between fact and fiction is blurred.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's, not a good thing to do, or how do you feel about that?
Argument can be made for, raising awareness to the conditions of these kinds of places.
Yeah.
Then it's also, we're using these stories and we're selling it, so I'm not qualified to pass judgment.
I think in a way it's touching on the history of a Canadian building.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's super ethical.
I don't know either.
Well, you know what? Speaking of ethicality, one thing I really enjoy about the movie is that these people are frauds. They know it. Most of the time, they're making fake ghost encounters on their show. It's this theatricality, and then they encounter something real for the first time in this movie.
Well, yeah, that's interesting that you point out the whole fraudulent side of it. At one point when they're interviewing some of the people that work on the grounds, they pay a guy $20 to okay, just tell us that you saw a ghost.
Yeah.
And he was like, I saw a ghost over there. It was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a very good show.
No, not at all. They're not doing well.
Yeah, and I like their fake psychic guy who comes and is like, yes, I'm feeling the energy in here, and he's not.
Going back to their little tour around Riverview, I thought, seeing the inside of the hospital was so cool to me, especially in, its, raw state, because I have been on the grounds many times. When I was younger, I've been, a couple years ago for a photo shoot I've been, but I've never seen inside the building. So to actually see inside was, something I had always been so curious about. So it was very exciting. Back to Mackenzie Gray, they bring in a hokey medium, Houston Gray. Mackenzie Gray's a big Canadian actor. Soon after this character is introduced, the groundskeeper locks them into the building, quote unquote, for the night. For the night.
Yep.
So the team starts to investigate the building, and it's the exact nightmare inside that I thought it was going to be. Of course, they start hearing noises, the windows start opening, the doors start slamming. The ghosts are out and about within the first, 20 minutes of them being in this building at night.
Do you remember what's, the first evidence of real paranormal activity in this movie?
I think it's when TC goes off by himself
to
capture some sort
It's
of
the
footage.
door. Something with the door happens, and I think maybe just before that a wheelchair moves. And he's chatting with his daughter on the phone, and the wheelchair moves a bit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I would not enter that building at night.
No. So this team are a bunch of chickens, let me tell you. Because after what? I don't know what it says on the camera. An hour? Maybe 2
hour.
Yeah, they start getting antsy. they start getting lost, and they want to leave ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
They regret locking themselves in there. At least, I think, right away, they can all feel that something's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, right away, the tension is building slowly. I think this film is very good at building tension. Right from the moment they get in there up until the end, it's just, like, one big, like, going up the roller coaster track.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know? As quote-unquote morning comes...
Yeah.
Ooh, brutal.
It's still dark, and they've lost a crew member, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I think, the tipping point of the film when they start to realize that, like, oh, it should probably be light out, but that's okay.
Yeah, that really stressed me out because, you know, especially when you're a little kid and you're having a bad nightmare or you just wake up partway through the night, like, when is it morning? When is it morning? And it's never morning, and then finally you fall asleep and it's morning again. These people are just living in perpetual that.
Yeah, endless night. It's so creepy.
Sidebar, that's why Skinamarink was so creepy.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Canadian horror.
Canadian horror.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, you need to watch more Canadian horror.
I guess so.
Yes, you do.
Then we go back to our character TC. He is another one of the paranormal investigators that's part of the crew. He's done waiting around.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets everyone to try and push through the front door.
Oh,
This scene, when I first watched it, it got me like no other horror movie. When I saw this, I was gobsmacked.
Yeah.
I think I actually visibly, like, my jaw dropped. Like, I was like...
The gobsmacking occurred.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they push, like, a patient bed through what they think is the front door.
It used to be the front door.
It used to be the front door.
It's
They got
the
in
door
that
they
way.
came in through, yeah.
And big reveal, it goes into another hallway.
Yeah, I got tears in my eyes for them.
Oh,
I'm like,
I
that's
love that.
hell.
That's when you know it's all over. At this point, Lance also reveals that it should have been light out 3 hours ago.
Oh, was he holding on to that?
Yeah, so he's, like, watching the time, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is kind of where, like, the loop concept comes into play.
Mm-hmm. And he wasn't telling people what to, like, protect them from the knowledge, or he's just scared of it himself.
Yeah, I think at one point when the camera's on his face, like, before this moment, he, like, makes a comment to himself, like, oh, it should be, like, morning now.
Mm-hmm.
And then he, like, tells people...
Right.
that, yeah, it should have been light out 3 hours ago. Which is super freaky nightmare fuel, in my opinion. And I think this is where all hell breaks loose. The ghosts are coming out and getting violent. And everyone starts going a little crazy because they're introduced to the concept that maybe they can never get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
What I like is the one who I believe goes the craziest is the spiritual medium. In quotes.
Yeah.
The guy who should be the most at ease with all of this is like, no, this is real and I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's just like a fun juxtaposition for his, like, on-screen persona, the character that he made for himself, versus how he is when he's actually faced with reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, slowly more tension building. Like, the idea of this costs not a lot of money, but it's very effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
But you know what? The team is still determined to find a way out. They start to search the hospital with the little light that they have, and the ghosts start to get crazy. Like I said, they start to get violent. They're throwing beds around, they're yelling. At one point, they scratch hello into Sasha's back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That
was
rude
gnarly.
right there.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
It looks pretty good, too. I like the special effects here.
Nice.
It's not like super, like, fancy effects or, like, you know, like anything crazy, but I think it's still pretty cool. Like, it's subtle, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Is around this phase of the movie when they, like, walk into a patient's room and see a woman standing in the corner? I feel like it's in this, like, exploration phase.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And then when she turns around and her mouth, like, drops open, like weird like CGI morphing effect. That was a good scare.
Yeah, I actually have a note here. Then comes the famous demon mouth girl.
Yeah. That's like the most well-known image, I guess, from this movie.
I think there's a lot of GIFs of it on the internet.
Mm-hmm. I had seen that so much, and so watching this film, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is where it's from.
Yeah, and same with the hands. I was like, it's this.
Yeah, that scene's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, at this point, people are getting thrown around. Houston, unfortunately, dies. He gets, like, I don't know, lost on his own at one point, and he is in, like, a hallway, and you see something, like, lift him up, and then, like, throw him against the ground, which is really cool. Something that was also really creeping me out in this movie is some of the sound design. Like, after Houston dies and it shows, like, the other team members of the ghost hunting show, like, running around, the ghosts start, like, laughing. And the ghost laughing in this film specifically is really creepy. I don't know what it is about it, but I was watching it last night by myself in the dark.
In your haunted apartment.
In my haunted apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably added to it. But yeah, the ghost laughing was giving me goose flesh.
Yes.
Eventually they find Matt, the crew member that was lost originally, and he is in a hospital gown. He has a hospital bracelet on as well, and he says there's a way out. He just has to make us better first.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Matt?
Right, who's he?
Yeah. Are we ever gonna meet him? Hope not.
Hope not. So yeah, Matt is crazy.
Yeah.
Something bad's happened to him, for sure. And they start hearing ungodly sounds coming from the hospital, and arms start coming out of the ceiling.
Love
Debbie,
that.
this was that scene you were talking
Yes,
about.
I love that scene. Like, I had seen it on the internet for years, never knowing where it came from, and then watching it in the movie, I'm like, yeah, that sucks. Like...
Yeah, I think I would just curl up on the ground in fetal position, cry until I died.
Exactly, like you have to give up.
I think my favorite scare in this movie is to deal with the therapy bed. Is that coming up in your notes?
Yeah, are you talking about the bathtub filled with blood? Yes, so
the bathtub
they
scare.
End up in a room with a bathtub, which is a real bathtub from Riverview, which is so disturbing, and it's full of blood.
Yeah. Scary on its own.
Yes.
And TC gets pulled in by a ghost.
Oh,
Never
it's
to
so
be seen
cool.
again.
Yes, I love how people
then,
are just disappearing.
Because then also all the blood drains. It's gone. It's like a portal to...
The bathtub tips
where?
over.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And it's no more blood in there. There's not a ghost woman. TC's gone.
Where'd he go?
Yeah.
Into hell.
You assume, yeah.
So we are left with Sasha, Lance, and Matt, and they, when they're running, because pretty much the entire time that they're in this freaking hospital, they're running away from ghosts and just into, like, new rooms that they haven't been into, or have been into.
Yeah, true.
And they see, like, a black-eyed, bloodied mouth ghost. That's, like, another jump scare. There's a lot of, like, CGI ghosts in this, but I do think that they're pretty effective.
They are.
As far as cheap CGI goes. And at this point, when Sasha and Lance are kind of, like, distracted by this black-eyed, bloodied mouth ghost, we see Matt just walking, like, in the camcorder footage, and he decides to throw himself from an elevator shaft.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, I think that part of Matt is still in his brain, and he's just like, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You think it was more his choice than not? Interesting.
What do you think?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Lance and Sasha decide to climb down the elevator shaft into the tunnels.
Oh, yeah.
Which is always
the
a bad
last
choice.
bit of the film that I think is the most terrifying.
And do you know where they shot these?
In the tunnels of Riverview.
Wait, there's tunnels under Riverview?
Oh yeah, there's tunnels in VGH.
Oh my lord, I don't like knowing
All
this.
old hospitals have tunnels.
Why?
And
you gotta transport bodies.
Oh.
And supplies.
the tunnels are what most of the actual Riverview staff says is the most active.
Yeah.
As far as ghosts.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So that also adds to the creep factor.
Yeah.
At this point, when they get down to the tunnels, Sasha is throwing up blood and is not doing well. And at this point, we know she doesn't have too much time left.
Yeah.
And then Lance says into the camcorder that they've been walking the tunnels for days.
Yeah, that depressed me.
Yeah, it's like a 1408.
Yes.
Time dilation's never gonna let you out.
Never.
There's only one way out.
Yeah.
It's quite depressing.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Like, yeah, and at this point, like, Sasha and Lance are, like, sitting on the ground, and, like, a ghostly smoke just, like, takes Sasha. And we don't see her.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Bye, Sasha.
So Lance is by himself in the tunnels, and, of course, he starts to hear disembodied voices coming from a walkie-talkie. He's eating rats.
Yeah, that was
raw
crazy.
rat.
I'm like, he must be hungry.
It's been days, right? You would be. Yeah.
Clearly gone crazy, but he is still filming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a dedicated ghost hunter host.
See, guys, he committed to the craft.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I was saying, at one point he's really gnawing on a rat with his like bare hands, and you hear the guts like squelching. He's really getting his lips in there. He's laughing while he's doing it also.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
If you're not laughing, you're crying.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The film ends with Lance finding a random door
Yeah.
to a room with lots of like gory photos in it of like botched surgeries.
Yeah.
He sees a picture of Matt also with his like brain open.
Yes, and like lobotomy, like a bad lobotomy. Yeah.
And like one person has like their chest open
Yeah.
so you can see their like rib cage and stuff. Quite disturbing. And then he goes into like another small room with all this like satanic ritual stuff, and then quickly sees a bunch of ghost doctors.
The worst type of doctors. Ghost doctors have never done anything good.
And they do this specifically creepy thing that they also do in the 1990s House on Haunted Hill, where all the doctors are like looking at whatever like subject they're terrorizing, and then they slowly like turn around and look right at the camera, and that freaks me the fuck out.
Sends a chill down your spine. Yeah.
So scary. Of course, they lobotomize him.
Yeah.
And then the last kind of image of the film is Lance Preston signing off for the last time for Grave Encounters.
I love it.
Fun, spooky ending. Good pick, Emily.
Thank you.
Pontypool. Pontypool. Pontypool.
Pontypool.
As he says at the opening, Pont de Font, he's saying so many different things. So yes, Pontypool is a 2008 Canadian horror film that had a very small box office. This is why I'm like, this is very much Canadian film. At the box office, it only made $32,000.
Oh, that's wrong.
And I'm assuming that's 32 Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was its budget, though?
Hopefully lower than 32,000.
Definitely higher.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So the estimated budget, according to IMDb, of $950,000.
Oh, yikes.
But this does not surprise me because this is kind of the way of Canadian film.
It's also a zombie movie, but also not a zombie movie.
It's a bit of a niche film.
Yeah, so I really, really like Pontypool because I think the film that we'll be seeing pretty soon, another Canadian horror film, Undertone, has some inspiration it must have pulled from this because Pontypool follows, I would say, 3 main characters, and they have a radio show. And I think that's a brilliant way when you're doing low-budget film is to have one location.
Yeah.
Heck, even if you're doing high-budget films, one location, because I have this saying to myself, kind of, and with my friends, but I really think a good movie, if you were to take away all of the big fancy setting, all of the big sets, can it be a play, and is it still interesting? Because if so, then I know you have a really good movie. You know what I mean?
This film definitely does that.
Exactly.
One location relies on sound.
Exactly. And if they were to ever make a staged version of it, I would watch that. Like, I think it's really, really fascinating. So yeah, Pontypool takes place in Ontario. And we know it's Ontario because the Ontario police get mentioned a lot throughout it. And the CBC gets a shout out in this film, which I absolutely love. So, Pontypool has Grant Mazzy, he's the main character, and he has a radio show, and it opens up with his monologue, which is so cool. And what I just love about this opening scene is it's black, and then we start hearing what he's saying. He's talking about how a cat is missing, and then he starts talking about Pontypool, all of that. And snow starts to fall. They're in Pontypool, Ontario.
A real place, right? Or is this a fictional town?
Let's see, is Pontypool a real place?
I'll look it up for you.
It's an unincorporated village in Ontario.
Wonderful. It's a village.
Yes.
It's a village.
Because let's be real, most of Canada are unincorporated small towns. That's the majority of this country. When he gets to work, he works with Laurel Ann, who is the youngest of the trio. She's kind of the disc jockey assistant, if you will. And then there is also a character who is the manager. Her name is Sydney. She would be like the producer who's trying to keep Grant Mazzy on track. It's like, okay, this is your show. Yeah. Feeding him stories, telling him when to wrap it up, when to change. So it's really cool just to see how a radio show works and how you have to keep moving with the stories. I really appreciated that because Grant Mazzy is keeping his mazziness the whole time.
He's a loose unit.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Mazzy, he's just doing his mazziness. And then they start to get fed the story about violence that is occurring with some ice fishing. And the people coming up, there's like a car roadblock situation, 16 people, 2 cops are there. And then the woman's like, we need to wrap this up. This is just about drunk ice fishers at the end of the season. Not really.
It's not.
It's not. It's revealed to be so much more. There is shooting happening and people are going off.
One thing right away that I noticed about this film is it's so creepy to think about you being away from whatever chaotic, violence, terrible things are going on.
Yeah.
But you can hear it. You can hear it happening, but you're not there. Like, I don't know.
And it's your job to make sense of it and report it. Yeah. You have to deal with those emotions, but then be clinical about it and cut to the chase, give people the news. I think that they do a really great job of depicting that.
And then more calls start coming in about strange occurrences that are happening across the town and people acting oddly violent towards one another, things just going off. And then one man, Nigel, calls in from the BBC. It's like, okay, we have someone from the BBC coming in, and he talks about the riots that are occurring and Quebec forces being involved, and wondering if this has to do with separationism within Quebec and Canada and
I really
provinces.
love that, the suspicion from especially Britain.
Exactly.
That we're just making noise again.
Exactly.
We're being insurrectionists.
Exactly.
No, there's something else going on.
Exactly. So I thought that was very interesting. And again, that's another very uniquely Canadian thing that this brings up. It does bring up some Canadian history and politics in there, which I thought was really interesting. And then, of course, the radio show does get interrupted by French. And it's so funny because when listening to that, I was like, okay, trying to hear, but it's hard because it's intercom. But then the last sentence I picked up on, it said, do not translate this message. And then he reads it aloud.
Yeah.
And it's like, avoid terms of endearment, avoid family, avoid talking to children. And whatever you do, do not translate this message. I love that because they translated it and...
then go, oh
shit. No, exactly.
That's so interesting that it said, do not, translate this message in French. I didn't even notice that, right? And I feel like it's like a little nod to French Canadians.
Exactly. And because it kind of gets revealed, it's only English is viral.
Yeah.
It's the only thing with the illness, the French language. It doesn't have it. A doctor comes in, speaking German, Dr. Mendez. He hypothesizes that the virus has infected certain words in the English language. And that is making people sick.
And then what it does is kind of turns you into a word zombie.
Yeah, a word zombie.
They call them talkers, I think is what they're called in the script. and you walk around repeating nonsense phrases.
Yeah.
And it kind of spreads throughout, and then you are finding people, you then try to burrow into their mouths, how they describe it. Eat your way through somebody's mouth because you're so frustrated trying to communicate and you can't. So you just eviscerate someone out of frustration. Yes. And it's creepy.
What do you think that's a metaphor for?
Well, it kind of reminds me of, I can't remember the exact term for it, but when people have strokes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and they can no longer say what they're meaning to say. So it could be a metaphor for that. It can also be a metaphor for just how English has conquered all of the world.
That's a really interesting interpretation too, yeah.
Right, and has colonized the entire world, and it's like a lot of languages are dying and going extinct. Luckily, there's a revival for a bunch of other languages coming back, but yeah, English kind of dominates and burrows itself everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably what the filmmakers were going for.
Yeah, one part that is just so heartbreaking is when people do lose their ability to communicate, like Laurel Ann ends up getting infected because the word sweetie and honey has been said to her, and everything's going fine, and then she starts getting confused, and then she gets frustrated.
And you get to see also what happens when Laurel Ann, who's now a talker, isn't able to seek out the others, and they call it steal their words.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're locked in the booth at one point, and she's outside.
And it's soundproof, and the Dr. Mendez says, your friend doesn't know it, but she's hunting us, but if we stay quiet, she will lose track of us, and she does, for a bit, until they realize she's now lip reading.
Yeah.
And
she's standing outside the booth staring at them.
Yeah.
Mouthing their words, I think.
Yeah, she's mouthing their words, so she has now learned to lip read.
It's also pretty interesting when she gets frustrated enough to just start running into the glass. Smashing her head, especially her lips too, because they go lip first into the glass, and then there's some great gnarly effects of her lips being split.
That's very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I really, 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 really like that. And then, yes, the doctor, unfortunately, starts to lose it. And then he just releases himself out into the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Because
the doctor is an interesting character, too,
isn't
he? Do you think that he has anything to do with the start of this virus? Because the talkers attack his office in the beginning. He's been on the run. So do you feel like there's some connection there?
That is a good question. I never thought of it before. I always thought that the doctor was always infected because he was always being so strange. Yeah. You know, the first couple times I watched this film, I'm like, okay, well, he's speaking English, now he's speaking German, now he's speaking a different language.
He keeps repeating breathe and breathe.
Like, So I'm like, maybe he just has figured out how to postpone it for himself.
Effects. But he's also, one thing that I love about this character is that he's oddly clinical. Like, he's a weirdo.
Yeah.
And the way that he's cataloging Laurel Ann is so cold. Yeah. He's like, oh, this is very interesting. Here's what's going to happen now. At one point, he's even, like, snacking as she's, like, smacking her head into the window. And it's, like, really hard to tell where this guy stands morally.
Yeah, he was a very weird character. I really liked him.
Yeah. I would love to talk about the relationship. Because it becomes sweet, you know?
Yes.
Like, at a certain point, Sydney becomes infected.
Yeah.
And then Grant figures out a way to cure her by changing the definition of the word that she's infected with in her mind. Tells her that kill, the word that she's stuck on, is kiss. And it works for her. Kiss. And then, smooth dog that she is, she goes, kill me. And then they have a quick kiss.
Yeah.
Which then leads Grant to realize, hey, I know the cure for this now. And he's going to go back on air and kind of broadcast this message. And I love this moment because Sydney's saying, no, why are we going to do this? This is just going to attract attention. This is going to get us killed. And Grant, who's kind of been like a sort of an asshole a little bit in the movie, you know, like he's kind of self-centered, he's not happy to be there. He's like, no, we need to do this. This, like, the world is ending out there and we've been playing Muzak. And then she's like, okay, I'm with you. And the two of them get on the air. And then he starts, like, changing the definition of words. Yeah. Well, we have a message in French coming in saying, stop talking.
Yeah.
Because they think he's sick. he's not, but they think he is. And then they start counting down.
Yeah.
Yeah. As he's like making a really inspirational speech too. He's saying like, this isn't the end of the human race. It's just the end of the day. And I love that whole moment. And then just as the countdown reaches 0, she rushes in, gives him a kiss, and then...
boom.
Yeah.
Kill his kiss.
Yeah.
Yes.
So kind of a sad ending, but also...
But it's also the only way it can end.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I really, really like this movie, and I think it does such a good thing at playing with not the most simple concept, but having it in a very simple location. Again, it is sound and audio-based horror, which we do see a lot in Canadian films, like we'll be seeing that in Undertone next week. And it's just very inspirational as people who like to make horror films. Just finding something simple. It's like, okay, one location, and now make a story. And yeah, I believe everyone's like a Canadian actor in this movie too.
I'm not sure if Stephen McHattie is. I feel like he is. Never mind.
Yeah.
Stephen McHattie's Canadian. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Most low-budget Canadian films have all Canadian actors.
Yeah,
because it's a lesser amount you get paid.
And this guy is amazing. He's one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Yes.
He has such great charisma. He nails like this kind of grizzled veteran of radio who's kind of over it, but he's still trying to bring his personality and his A game. Damn the man, that's kind of his sort of way. Like he says, he's taken no prisoners all the time. Like, I just love that character and that performance. This movie is probably my favorite Canadian horror movie.
Yeah.
And
Better than Scanners?
Yes. I have to say, I like Scanners. I probably made it seem like I didn't. I do have some issues with it. But Pontypool, I have full-scale love. I think it's great.
Really good acting, really good characters, character development, really good stories, and I think that's what Canadian horror does best.
Yeah.
A lot of the like pre-production and writing and getting creative without a budget. I think we're really good at doing that.
I agree.
Also, after listening to all of our films, I think that like a running theme in Canadian horror films are that they're very depressing and very dreary. And I think that is Canada in the winter in a nutshell.
Oh, it absolutely is.
I think Canada is a very beautiful place, but it's also got a lot of darkness.
It has a lot of darkness in many ways.
Yeah, and I think there's also this underlying bitterness as well in Canadian identity, just because we've been so mislabeled and misrepresented. So we reflect that in our media. We're like, hey, we're here, we do stuff, but there's kind of that tone to it.
All right, Tom, what's the next segment?
Oh, all right, guys. It's time for Who, What, Watch, Read, When. The segment of the show where we give ourselves a platform to say what we're watching, listening, reading, either in the near future, or presently, even in the past. And I will say, for me, I have been forgetting what I've been watching. Let me see. Oh, yeah. So just today, I saw a makeup test from this movie called Cold Storage, which has Joe Keery in it. Came out this year. And it's about a group of, like, minimum wage workers who are at a storage facility, and they unearth and accidentally release this, like, fungus that was engineered by the government or something like that.
I've heard of this.
Yeah, and it's got good reviews. And I saw this makeup test from it earlier today that was, like, properly gnarly. Like, this, like, green fungus bursting out from under somebody's skin. And if that was just the makeup test, I bet it looks even better on screen. So I think I'll probably take a look at that within the next week and report back.
Sounds good. I love Joe Keery, and
Me too.
Yeah.
Love some makeup effects.
And then what I'm currently reading is this book called The Cure for Drowning by Logan Paylor. It is a Canadian book. In fact, the author is from Abbotsford and currently lives in Abbotsford. I don't know yet if it is a horror or not. I just read the first chapter and some spookiness occurs. It starts in 1931 and it's based in Ontario. These kids are walking in the winter, you already know how this ends, along a river looking for some cranberries. And the sister starts to see a glowing light from underneath and she's like, they want me down there. All of this. And then she collapses into the ice. The brothers presume she is dead because she is dead. You know,
Sure.
Fell into the
Yes.
ice.
But they never find her body?
No, they're carrying her back home. Her body, they scoop it back out.
Safe presumption that she's dead.
Yep, exactly.
If they see that she's dead.
Right, ice cold. All this, and the mum's in denial that she has passed, is feeding her warm soup, all this, saying a prayer in Gaelic. And it's just heartbreaking as the brothers wait.
While she's dead.
Yeah, while she's dead, feeding her
my.
soup, and the soup is just pouring back out her mouth because she's not eating it. Next day, she's awake.
It's
She's
horror.
alive.
It's horror.
And
That's horror.
Not only is she alive and awake, she's not the same. She cannot really speak anymore.
Interesting.
So she doesn't have the same likes or interests as time goes on. So
Ooh.
I'm going to keep you guys updated, but so far I'm really liking this.
This sounds really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The cover, I'll describe the cover to you guys. It's blue with a bunch of long kelp, somebody going in the water, but on the other side's a seal. So I'm like, are there selkies? Is it folkloric horror?
Do you want to give us a quick background for what a selkie is?
Oh yes, a selkie is in Gaelic and Celtic folklore. It's like a mermaid, but not quite. So in the water, they're seals, but on land, they're humans. So they can transform between human and seal. And they are said to be like the most beautiful people in the world, in land. But as soon as they're on land, if they're on land too long, all they want to do is be back in the sea. So it's very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
I will say the cover doesn't really read spooky.
It doesn't read spooky, so I'm curious as to where it's going.
It reads more like magical.
Yeah,
fantasy.
magical, mystical, so we'll see. All I know is that beginning, I was like, first 5 pages, I'm like, I'm heartbroken. And now she's alive? I'm going through a roller coaster.
And what about you, Emily?
Okay, guys. I watched Primate.
Oh, yeah.
I am happy that we didn't do an episode on it. And that we didn't go to the theater and pay money to see it.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Oh no, go.
Was it fun bad or just
It was
bad,
kind
bad?
of fun bad. Me and
Okay.
Mateo watched it the other night, and we did have fun watching it. I will say it was pretty entertaining. It was pretty cheesy. The acting, not so good.
Aww.
The storyline, not so good.
Oh no.
The kills, good.
Okay.
The kills were good, and that's what kept me watching it.
Does anybody get their face eaten?
Somebody gets their face ripped off.
Right,
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. That's what I expected.
And the monkey gives a big old chomp into somebody's flesh, and that part's really cool.
Yikes.
Because it looks like real, like, prosthetic teeth.
Oh.
It's not CGI, which I was like, yes.
Cool.
That's cool.
Okay.
So that was really cool. There was quite a few really cool kills.
Yeah.
Nice.
But besides that, it was awful.
I'm going to watch the kill count.
Yeah,
when it
that's
comes
a
out.
kill
That
count
is
one.
appropriate. I will
Yeah.
give you that.
Yeah,
Don't watch
yeah.
the movie, watch the kill count. The one and only time I will probably say that.
What about for Terrifier, though?
No! You must watch the movies.
Emily.
Babies.
I am a baby, Emily. Hello, have you listened to any of my recommendations? None of my recommendations have gore.
Okay, we'll build up to it. Okay?
Sure.
But yeah, Primate, 4 out of 10.
2 opposable thumbs down.
2 opposable
I like
thumbs
that.
down.
Oh, okay, that's it then, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, that was Who, What, Watch, Read, When, Where. Then I guess we'll just wrap up the show now. Guys, thank you so much for being here and recording this show with me today. Thank you to the listener for coming back for another week. This is week 8. Woohoo!
Week of many.
Yeah.
Thousands, hopefully.
We also just hit 200 downloads today as of recording. So thank you so much for everybody who's coming back, downloading, listening. Hopefully telling friends as well, because that is how we'll get new listeners. Special thank you to Moira Christy for our theme. Thank you to Kiah Ellis-Durity for our logo. Thank you for Gordon Durity for our microphone.
Yes.
Thanks to me for the edit.
And dinner.
Oh, that's true. I did do
Yes.
that as well.
Yeah.
Today. Well, thank you guys
burgers.
for the company.
Oh, you're welcome.
Guys, where can they find us on the socials?
You can find me at emily.english_ on Instagram and at horrorho on YouTube.
You can find me, same name across the board, Devin Ellis-Durity, and that will be on Instagram, YouTube, and Letterboxd.
You can find me at Thomas N. Jackson 2002 on Instagram, Thomas N. Jackson at Letterboxd. You can also find this show at Whispers in the Woods Pod on Instagram, where you could give us a DM with an episode suggestion, comments, critiques, just want to say hi, please do. Also, we're going to be rolling out some new things coming up, aren't we? Maybe some giveaways, some more, audience engagement some plans games. As well.
Games are coming.
There will be some episodes where we're going to need help, from our listeners in order to supply the topic of the episode. So that's coming up.
And to give you what you want.
Give the people what they want.
Exactly. Yeah, so that'll do it. I guess we will see you guys next week.
Well, we will not see you.
You will hear us.
You will hear us. Yes. We will enter your ears next week. Yes. All right. Deal with your lizard DNA, folks. Bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Whispers in the Woods.
We're a scrappy little industry.
The scrappy guys.